filtering in here just to get a little grip of, who's out in the audience a little bit as far as business owners. Raise your hand, any business owners in here? We got some. Salespeople, estimators, project managers. Okay, very good. Production, operations type people. All right, so we're mainly project management, sales oriented. Very good. Going to get a little bit of stuff out of this as far as, training salespeople, different ideas as far as, getting estimators up to speed. In the past with stuff, generational, I'm 56 years old, grew up in the business, and that you had, typically it was passed through the family, and everybody went through the family in the sales and the estimating. You had done every job on the crew or whatever, and it kind of metastasized your role going into the company. And then as salespeople started being hired and estimators, things changed quite a bit. And you were grabbing people, your production guy that, man, this guy's great. He's out on the crew. He gets me, things go wrong. He gets a change order, gets it signed. He's got a little personality. And, you tend to get a lot of sales, a lot of work that way. That's, a lot of people grew companies like that. And then things, as they got into the late 80s, early 90s and that, there's a book. And my brother and I, we were real advocates of it. We took off with our seal coating and paving business in Rochester, New York. And there was a book called Guerrilla Marketing. And it's a old school marketing sales type book and that, and it was the whole blanket thing, working at a discount, doing as much as you can, turning the dollars over. We'd look at the tanks in the yard and figure out how many gallons we could do in a 10-hour day, how many gallons of seal we were going to put down, and we map out everything around that. And yeah, the prices were in the gutter. Things at one point we used to get 16-17 cents a square foot in the mid 80s there to do driveways and stuff, just seal coating and that, and it tanked down to like 4 cents, 5 cents. People came in, they're doing driveways for 35. I don't know how anyone could mobilize for $35, but you had to join the party a little bit. And that book kind of broke it all down a little bit in that. And then eventually, naturally, that stuff, the larger companies across the country kind of worked that model into their larger things with the parking lots and shopping center lots and stuff. So just always tried to stay ahead of it, stay toward it, but going back to all those residential guys that were hustling the driveways and stuff, they could sell. They learned the business kind of in a, excuse the term, ass backwards way, but it was hard to find salespeople that had any little bit of a background or anything, or the project managers. So things kind of evolved in that. Now, we're in this situation now where it's just watching other companies, consulting with other companies, helping people out. It's, you got to basically hire between 8 and 10 guys to try and find somebody good. And you got these good old boys that are still out there and can still produce, and they're going to be good for their $2 to $4 million a year, no more, no less. But they're out there, and it's hard to find them as well. My personal preference for finding help is the roofing industry. There's nothing up there on the roof that we don't do on the pavement. If you got their network base, they go to BOMA, IREM, they do all the trade shows. They can go from roofing right into what you do. My best friend Eric Ellie, he went from roofing, went over to Sunland Asphalt, top sales guy in their national division for a couple of years. He just left, went to another company here. He's got a little non-compete thing that he's in right now, so I can't say who he's going with, but that's where we're ending up at this point. Well, I'll just give a couple more minutes here for a couple people to trickle in, and we'll get started. So what you're looking at here on the screen, kind of a big deal. We do a lot of marketing. We were really on the front end of the social media thing and all that, and Alan Haydorn, just real close with him from speaking and doing this stuff over the years. We got on the cover of the Construction Zone there, and it was like I said earlier, the Sports Illustrated jinx. Get on the cover of the magazine, never had any type of claim, accident, anything before, and bam, we got hit 1, 2, 3, one after the other, and this was the first one. And my guys modified the paver a little bit to hook the oil sprayer on there so they could spray down the hopper and stuff, and Garbino jumps off and his ring catches on there, and his ring in this picture is actually still in his hand. So it's any kind of accident sucks, but it was just a comical way to get a little bit of advertising, marketing, a little national exposure, and have a little jinx attached to it. So we're going to cover here just alternative methods of paving, nothing you probably haven't heard of, some of you haven't. What you do in the Northeast, what you do in the Southwest, Northwest, things change all around the country. From, even as close as from Florida to Missouri. I mean, stuff can change, as far as you're looking at jobs. Nationally, we're all over. I was in 38 states last year looking at asphalt, and it's just amazing, the different techniques and ideas and picking guys' brains. And I'm on site, and I'm representing a lot of national firms, and I got to get, 3-4 different quotes, and some stuff, it just comes from all over the place. And at the end of the day, it's, we're not building microchips. These are parking lots. We're parking cars on them, driving cars on them, driving trucks on them, forklifts, tow motors, tractor trailers. You know, we're not in the microchip business. We're not creating the next AI. We're trying to create a safe parking lot or a structural parking lot for people to drive on and park their cars on, and hopefully walk in that trip. So I'll start here. This first video here, this is Jeff Pataki. He, if you're familiar with Ace Asphalt Arizona at all, when I moved from New York to Arizona, I wanted to open my account at Rinker Materials, and I go down there and they say, no, you got to have a contractor's license. I had no idea of any of this. You know, I was 30 years old. I go down the street and talk with some other people, and no, you got to have the contractor's license. Went to Sealmaster, the previous owner, Dave Musgrove. No, you got to have a contractor's license. So here I am. Yeah, I just moved my whole family. I thought I could start up going to business and that, but I got to get a contractor's license. So I had met Tim Drexler and Mike Myrtle. I had met them before at Pavement Expo in Nashville, and I had their cards and that, looked them up and walked through the Ace yard. And at the time, I mean, this is 1999, there wasn't really a lot of companies like that in the country. There's probably maybe 7 or 8 of them at the most. And it's impressive. So I'm with Tim, and he's like, what do you think you could do with all this equipment? And just weighing up what I know from companies back home, and that I go, yeah, I could probably sell $4.5 million with all this equipment. So yeah, that sounds nice and easy. That gives me base salary, company truck, whole deal. You know, knows my background a little bit. Then I get in there. I got to start on a Monday morning. I walk in and there's 27 sales guys and their assistants. And they, wait a minute, now all this equipment. I'm thinking, man, I could write this job, that job, whatever. Now I got to share that equipment with 27 guys. And they basically, this is before the internet, CRMs, all that type of stuff. You're given the phone book. And we had the old school maps with the books where you had to feed through the books and length times with this, that, driving all over. Every single account is taken. So I had to find my little niche with it. And that my advantage I had is I was in the business. Now, one of the other guys was in the business. There was a guy, Kirk McKay, that was there before me. He started Phoenix Paving. But other than me and Kirk, nobody had ever went into that sales force with any type of background. So I used that dirt part of it to my advantage, you know, that I could big grading jobs, pulverizing jobs, milling jobs, and that really took off for me. And there's a guy there, Neil Phelps. He's, you know, probably, and a lot of people argue with this and that, but maintenance-wise, nobody has sold more pavement maintenance than Neil Phelps. The guy, he's with Sunland Asphalt. They merged with Ace right now. I was the first one to ever beat him on gross profit. He beat me in sales, but I beat him in gross profit. We were paid on gross profit dollars. So here in my first 18 months, it was like a shock to the system. How the hell did this guy make more money than Neil Phelps? It was unbelievable. And I mean, his account base right now, if you were to spread it out, he probably does between $9 and $12 million, depending on the way that they structured his thing at Sunland. So real good. Smarter than anybody in this room? Probably not. You'd probably disagree with everything he does as far as selling, and we got some Arizona guys and stuff in here for the most part, but I go, Neil, what the hell how do you get all this facts after facts after facts? I mean, he walks in and one day he has more jobs to look at than all of us in here combined. He doesn't go the extra mile for nothing. He gives the people exactly what they ask for. Can you come by and fill these 2 holes in my front lot? He goes and fills the 2 holes in the front lot, gets the bid out the same day they sign it. He don't even go around the rest of the property, check nothing. That's his system. It works for him. I don't agree with it, but the guy works. He's, you know, longevity-wise, he's probably been doing this, I think, since like 1994, and he's a good friend of mine and everything like that, but I just shake my head because you think of all the knowledge we all try to gather doing stuff like this, and Neil, I don't know, I see Kendall laughing right now. It's just amazing that he does what he does. So anyways, you're going to see Jeff Pataki on here. At Ace, they were growing. The whole premise of the growing was they wanted to grow 20% a year. So you think, 20% a year. When I got there, we were at $19 million. So they want to get to $38 million. They want to go 20% a year. So each salesperson has to grow 20% a year. So you're thinking, all right, if I did $1 million, I got to do $1.2 million next year. Okay, that's easy. Now the next year, you think, well, that would be, I need to do that $1.2 million again. No, they wanted the 20% on top of the $1.2 million. So you weren't just doubling to the 38. That was a company goal, but as a sales goal, you had to snowball above that. Amazing. They hired this guy, Jeff. You're going to see him in the video right now. He was absolutely incredible. The guy, I mean, he built their whole CRM system for him, got everything going. We had this junior salesman program. Everything worked out fantastic. I really benefited from it, and I owe the guy a lot. He's really a good friend of mine.
You have to process that and pass it along to this new sales guy, your new representative, and that's a word that gets dismissed a lot anymore. These are representatives. They represent your brand, they represent you, they represent your company. You have your top performers that do it well. These are your, top 3% guys, top 5%, earning 80 to 85% of your income. You're gonna grow your company with that remaining piece there. What's the best recommendation? Do we outsource training those guys? It's hard, you don't wanna pick away from your top performers. People in executive positions don't have the time in their day. What's the best for training these widget type guys that are gonna come and go and grow your business?
Yeah, so when I'm looking to hire good sales reps, I always look for two things: attitude and discipline. If they have the right attitude and they have the right discipline, they will usually pivot to whatever that new widget, if you will be. So what I always say, a great thing that, and what we employed at Ace Asphalt was kind of a buddy system, a tag along, right? If you have a good salesperson, it's not gonna take them very long to understand the new industry, the asphalt industry, the paving industry, if they are very good at what they do. And they'll be able to mirror and kind of shadow like a good rep, like what you were back in the day was able to do.
Yeah, and a lot of truth to that. I actually, when I went to Ace Asphalt Arizona and I met Jeff, I started my own company shortly after. And I got to that point, you can only do so much, you can only wear so many hats. An octopus only has so many arms. Jeff had set me up, I had a junior salesman named Dan, and he came through, green as could be, but very bright, very tenacious.
I don't think he could even spell asphalt.
No, I don't think, nobody can spell striping anymore. I'm so glad down the road, I see striping spelled incorrectly, but no, Dan was that fucking, but we made him fantastic. So when I eventually got my contractor's license, started my own company, within 18 months, he was outproducing myself. The company as a whole, we just grew like crazy, but it all started from that initial setup. Thank you, Jeff.
So a big part of that too, if you've ever sat through Jeff Stokes and Brad Humphreys, there's like a changing of the guard going on right now. My generation, a lot of us that came through this out of the 80s and that, we all learned from Jeff and Brad. Brad spoke on Monday, did a thing, I think he did another class, Jeff was this morning, but all my training was that. There's other guys that have more formal training, more structural training and stuff, but like I said, I was that field guy. I started in the business, I was oiling 2x4s on the side of the road to make sure the asphalt didn't stick on the 2x4s, and we'd start that, and then I had to tamp the edges. Seal coating wise, I think I was 8 years old, and my father, he had to pay our CPA. My father went legit, he had to get the whole DBA thing going, all the tax structure and that, and he had to pay a CPA. He didn't quite have the money, so we sealed the CPA's parking lot. He gets a couple of skids delivered, full skids of buckets delivered, and I'm just a kid. What do? You're a kid. You're helping opening buckets and that. You got a bunch of the buckets there on the ground with the lids. We made a little wiffle ball thing with it. We used the lids for playing wiffle ball while my father's sealing the parking lot, and then he naturally hollers at us, and we got to throw all these lids in the dumpster. We got to go throw them in the dumpster and that. And what do kids do? We made Frisbees out of them. We're throwing them at the dumpster. Sure enough, the wing grabs one, takes it, and boom, it lands right on a guy's car. So I got this sealer lid stuck on a car. So that was my initial introduction to the business as a kid. And, I still get razzed about that to this day. But it's the guys like us that grew up, we have a little different angle with the selling and stuff. So a big thing with Brad and Jeff, to get back to them, they have the different types of guys. They got the peddler, they got the consultant, and that's more what we do as the consultative sale. But the guy that carries your cash flow, that's your good old boy. And a lot of people, I see a lot of stuff like, different things where people want to grow your business and stuff like that. The good old boys take a beating. We know they're going to sell $2.5 to $4 million a year, eyes closed. You can do all your budgeting, forecasting, have this meeting, that meeting, projections, CRM, dissect their whole account base, whatever. They're just going to do the same amount. 1 year's going to be a little better, 1 year's going to be a little worse, but that cash flow's there. We're going to hit that number. We're going to turn the lights on. We're going to pay the fuel bill. All our expenses and stuff are going to get paid. We need those type of guys. So my good old boy came from Ace with me. His name was Jerry Chavarik. And Jerry's probably parking lot wise, there's a huge slurry seal market down there in Arizona. Slurry seal, micro seal. But back at the time, I think other than Darren Olson and Jerry, nobody sold more parking lots, even for Ace doing slurry seal on the parking lot. So finally making money with the business, blowing it up, not a cheap thing to get into. Slurry seal, there's nothing cheap about it. And using Sunland for an example, they got into slurry seal 4 different times. Doug LeClusia, great friend of mine in that, he wanted to buy my company because we perfected it. The only way we could do it, and it kind of sucked for me because I had 2 little kids, we're growing the family, this and that. You want to upscale, upgrade life a little bit and that, but put all the money back in and took this gamble on the slurry seal. Very fortunate. I bought my equipment from Gordon Rayner up in Sacramento, up in California. And this guy, Francis Cardoza, he did all the training, all the computer work, everything for us and that. he was retiring, and he retired just across the border in the Mexico and that, and then he wanted to come back to work, and we were the closest ones to the Mexican border. And he liked me a lot, liked my brother a lot, so he said, I want to come and work for you. He goes, but I need a place to live. So I buy a house, give him a house around the corner that I bring him on board. Not knowing this guy's been New Zealand, Asia, China, all over Europe. He's literally done all these demos and training for Slurry Seal all across the world. I got like this guru guy working for me. Anyone that's done Slurry Seal, anyone that hates complaints, hates headaches, going back and fixing jobs, no worse product than Slurry Seal on parking lots. This guy fine-tuned it. You get a couple power steering marks here and there depending on the temperature outside and that. Occasional roll-off, because when we do under carports and stuff, you got to do it by hand and the sand would roll out in that. Francis, unbelievable. A total blessing from God that this guy comes to work for us. And he says, look, we're going to do this. We're going to do it right. We're just going to stay within a 60-mile area, all right? So naturally, the sales guy, Jerry, you know, he wants to do more. So here's Francis with the kids right here. There's, like our story said, my father thought I was nuts. We were putting the money into this, so my father flies out. That's him on the right. And you see our pup trailer there. That's my brand new slurry truck I had built. And our Komatsu loader, I actually stole that thing. I got a smoking deal on that. It kills me to see a picture and not have it. But anyway, that was the basic setup for that. So boom, within 60 miles, we're doing little school districts. Nobody's there over winter break. No one's going to drive on it. We're doing the schools in the summer, fall break, spring break. The school contract's unbelievable because no one's driving on this stuff. We could leave a barricaded cone. Everything's going to set up and get hard. There's not that immediate rush to get in. And it was all based on we're not going outside of 60 miles. It's got to be wherever we calibrated everything to. So Jerry, this is Jerry here on the left, and that's my other salesman, Dan, that we were talking about in the video. Unfortunately, we lost Dan. He died of colon cancer at 38 years old. Kid was fantastic. 2 little kids, friend of mine, dynamite. We trained him for nothing. The kid, he had never made more than $45,000 in his life. At the time he passed away, he made $170,000 that year, and we paid his wife right to the end, right, you know, until right through the following year, even after he died. It was a hard thing on us. But Jerry, he's my good old boy. He's going to sell that. He's going to create that cash flow. He's going to do it all the time. Like I say, no project more than 60 miles. Type 3, we need a couple extra days to calibrate the machine, change the sand or whatever. If we're changing from latex modified or polymer modified oil, we're going to have Ergon deliver it directly so that our tank, we're not coagulating or creating any issue with the oil. And like I say, he's the good old boy. With Brad and Jeff, they have the good old boy, the traveler, the peddler, and the consultant. If you ever sit in their classes and that, greatest way to identify people. There's all different types of training, but like I say, that's what I know best, and I totally agree with all of it. So Jerry wants to go up to Sedona. Anybody familiar with Sedona, Arizona? You got fishing ponds. Kids go up there, fish. You have beautiful, beautiful scenery and everything. Rainbow trout fishing. They got streams, everything. Everything funnels down into Oak Creek Canyon. Well, something else funneled down in Oak Creek Canyon. Jerry wanted us to go up there outside our 60 miles. This is the salesman pushing the envelope. This is where I say both sides of the sale. I knew what we could do. We knew what we could do. We knew what we were told to do. He wants to sell a little more. We're pushing the envelope. We want to get to our sales goal, our revenue goal. Sometimes pushing the envelope isn't the best thing to do. So this is the situation we ended up in. Guy swerved at my truck. Jared's driving, gets swerving a little bit. The trailer starts fishtailing with all the oil and liquid in it. Trailer flips over and boom, you know, we got oil going right down, CQS going right down, huge insurance claim and everything. 2 weeks after that magazine article was written. So I don't ever want to be on that magazine again. That magazine was like a curse for me. But this oil here, this is CQS. You can literally with a shovel, anyone that's, you know, had to deal with it or whatever, this isn't seal coat. This is thick ass oil. We'll just say that. But thank God it's Arizona. There was no rain. This thing could have escalated and been an absolute nightmare. But we had to do an environmental cleanup, everything on it. But it goes back to that thing. We want our salesmen to have as many options as possible. We want them to do what they can. Don't go outside of your boundaries. Stay with what you do best at a little bit of a time. Don't go climbing mountains like we did. I think Sedona's at like 6,000 feet or something like that, but wasn't the best thing for us to do. So just rolling along here, now getting more into it. There's no current pavement rehabilitation technique that has ever been shown to prevent reflective cracking. It's asphalt. We're not tying it in with wire on the bottom. We're not tying it in with rebar like concrete. We're putting down a pad. We're hopefully rolling it properly. We're at the mercy of the base underneath us. If it's our base that we put down, then, you know, we got to look in the mirror and question ourselves a little bit. But bottom line is, we walk down the street, we see a crack in the concrete. Everybody deals with it. You walk right over it. You skip over it, whatever. Don't step on the crack. It's a joke. Excuse me. When there's a crack in asphalt, it's a nightmare. Everybody loses their crap over it or whatever, and they really shouldn't. It's not the end of the world. Like I said, we're not building microchips. My personal preference, first, every type of job, it's based on the location. I always like to look where a job is. If it's out on the outskirts, if it's in the middle of nowhere. If I'm working, like, if you're familiar with Arizona, if I'm around Camelback Mountain, worst part of town to get into, Paradise Valley and that, if I got stoplight, I'm nowhere near the plant, I'm nowhere near the dump, I got to kind of tweak my job scope a little bit. I may want to pulverize it. I might want to mill it. I might want to full depth mill it. I might want to mill it in place and leave it. I got to look at the whole spectrum of the job. How are these trucks going to get in and out of here? Where am I parking my equipment? Where am I staging stuff? Where are the fire hydrants? You know, I got to keep dust down and stuff. I'm a big fan of the rubberized overlays. Some people like it, some people don't, but I based it on where I am. So if I'm on the side of Camelback Mountain, like a few jobs that we did for HOAs, we're just going to keyhole mill the edges, mill our concrete transitions, blow down a nice rubberized overlay. A little bit of reflective cracking is going to come through. Sometimes, occasionally, we crack fill them first or whatever. Raise our utilities up. Nightmare in Arizona compared to other parts of the country. We have to put concrete collars and rings around all our water valves and manholes and drains and stuff. So yeah, we're going to have to raise them up afterward and that. But the logistic of it, these people in this HOA, they're going to do this park, these roads. They might seal coat them in between or whatever once in a while. No one's ever on a real program for the most part, but those roads are going to get replaced. There's going to be a couple cracks in them or whatever. The big thing is the logistic of it. The garbage trucks, the recycling trucks. You got snowbirds, people that live there full-time, people that live there part-time. Get the job, get it under contract, get it done. You're giving them a quality product. Depending on a couple of variables that might come into play, you might be a little less than a mill pave, or you might be a little more than a mill pave. But it's just the logistics of it. These people want to get in and out of their houses, have a black road, and move on. You put too much thought in, we're going to pulverize. No, we're going to mill it. You get too involved with all that. Now you got stockpiles involved. Open the whole thing up. You get like 7 days of measurable rain in Arizona all year. You open it up, and that one of those 7 days happens to happen when you're opening it up. So, like I say, I'm a big fan of that type of overlay. It's not for everybody, and if you've ever done them and had to clean the equipment afterward, not fun at all, but in the sake of keeping a good customer or picking up more business, it's, a good alternative, good way to go. And just different things, different parts of the country, your yields. It's, there's different specs with places like that. And Maricopa, Kendall, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think, isn't it with Mag, it could be like 10% under on your material, 5% under, and you're still within spec for the most part. So rubberized overlays, they're going to batch it for you. They're going to make it. You're going to own what you order, okay? But typically, order less. If you run out, and then another job comes up with the state or the county or something like that, finish your job there. These jobs, this rubber, it just goes forever. No matter what you do, you're always, you're typically 15, sometimes 20% under. You're not cheating the customer or anything. Your guy's checking it, he's behind the screen. Your ground guy's checking it. You're putting the depth in, you're compacting it. Just for some reason, the stuff goes for miles and miles and miles. So that's something, owners, we keep that to ourselves, okay? That's something between us. That's great profit, great thing. We're putting down a quality product, we can guarantee it. Unfortunately, like on my end, I'm very active with my production team and my sales guys. They know where we are. They were paid on a gross profit basis, so they always knew where the profit was. And unlike Ace Asphalt, that had two sets of books, one that the sales guys saw to pay them on profit, I only had one set of books. I didn't have that convenience of a 11-person accounting team, so they get that much information, all of a sudden they start bidding the work that way. It's like you say, hey, this job calls for this many ton, this and that. That's why you're an owner. That's why, you put your rear end on a clothesline and went into business, is to make that money, is to make that profit. And like I say, you're not cheating the customer, you're going to warranty your work or whatever, but you don't want your salesman to start bidding on the yield. Okay, the yield is yours, but it's something that'll always come into play on that type of process. And just different things with rubber, environmental sustainable, cost efficiency. You don't have to seal coat it and stuff as quickly. I'm a big slurry seal guy, so I lean more toward that type of a thing. Once it oxidizes, I like to put the blanket over the top of it or chip seal it. Enhanced durability, safety improvement. And the big reason why it all got going in Arizona, there was a section from the Broadway curve to where the new 101 was starting in Tempe. And there's like these big walls on each side of 60 there, and it was like a tunnel. All the people driving through there and that. So people complained to the mayor and stuff at the time, and they came out with the rubberized asphalt, and it was only supposed to be on that section of road because it was quieting the road, like it says there, for the noise reduction. Turns out they end up doing the whole state basically with it. Everything around the new 303, 202, 101. Rubberized asphalt's not cheap. You can weigh up the math on that, and then you kind of wonder why Arizona's 49th or 48th in education every year. They're putting all this money in that. What's that? I honestly couldn't tell you because I've only put it down in the desert. I never did it up in Show Low, Prescott, or Flagstaff. I've only done HOA type things, Gilbert, Arizona, Goodyear, Sun City. We've done a couple of subdivisions around Camelback Mountain and that, but I can't give you the straight answer to that. Yeah, so the best thing you do, and I do get to that point on here eventually. Hopefully we don't run out of time or anything, but the big point I get to with that is having a lunch, once a month with your asphalt salesman, knowing what products they're doing. You have obviously the terminal blend rubber, the crumb rubber is mixed in, but here's an example here, like kind of related to what you're talking about. This is Maricopa County right here, okay? So you see here your 2015 to 19 where they were. This is just maintenance of roads in Maricopa County. So right now we're at 2025. This next 4-year span, they're going to be doing a ton of work there. Now this isn't the whole state. This isn't all the federal work or anything. But this tells us on our end, the guys that are in business there, how much trucking is going to be available. Trucking's been a nightmare the last few years. A couple of the larger companies sold out after COVID or during COVID. And getting the trucking and the price down from that has been really drastic. So when we see the county doing that much work, the companies, the general contractors that are doing that work, that's going to hurt a little bit on the parking lot guys a little bit. So you're always watching that, staying ahead. And these numbers really mimic the state quite a bit as well. And yeah, $370 million, $411 million. That's one county. Maricopa County is as big as Rhode Island. It's as big as a whole state. It's huge there. You see like election stuff, all the delegate stuff, the county vote, this and that, but it's a large area, but you even multiply them numbers more as you go through the whole state. A bulk of that is the rubberized asphalt number that they're doing. Asphalt, Arizona's ahead of the game with the crack filling. They probably do more crack filling than they should, so that I know that's all included in there, and this doesn't include bridge work. So it just tells you we're the number one market, not just in the country, in the world. Arizona's the number one pavement maintenance market in the world. Different things. My buddy Doug at Sunland, well, he's not at Sunland anymore, really. He's kind of a chairman type position, but when Ace came over to there, Ace was huge with the fabric overlays. They did quite a bit of them. Asphalt cracks right down to the base, right down to the initial layer. You have an overlay layer, whatever. You're going to put tack down. You're going to put fabric down in that. These things come out where people say, "Oh, fabric, it adds like a half an inch of strength." I don't know where it adds a half an inch of strength. Is there some kind of torque wrench? Is there some kind of nuke meter? Who's to say that fabric adds anything to it? We can't recycle it. We go to the dump. They want it separated. Our costs on dumping it, if you're demoing out a job with fabric's a nightmare. You got pieces hanging all over the place, whacking your truck. You got to separate it, find out which dump's taking it, which dump's not taking it. Milling it, absolute nightmare. Wrapping around your turbines and everything in that. The long-term part of it, there's no benefit. And at the end of the day, all the cracks come through. If you're in a no-frost area with fabric, you're in a no-frost area like Arizona, everything that's a 1/4 inch will come back at 1/8. Everything a half is a 1/4, 3/4 is that. In a frost area, they'll come back the same size. It might be year 3, it might be year 5, it might be year 7. No benefit to that whatsoever. So there's people that swear by it. I think the heyday for it, it's like, say like 1995 to 2005. That's when the bulk of it was put down. And a bigger part of putting the fabric down is the tack application. You can't have windrows like this. You can't have corn rows. The sealant that you're getting there from that tap application out of the boot truck, that's more important than the fabric itself. All right, whatever the imaginary strength it's getting or whatever, just like fabric supposedly holds moisture above, it also traps moisture below. It creates more damage to the base underneath it. So I don't know, just not a big fan. It's a big product. So here's my truck. This was my boot truck here, whacking it solid. You can't put enough down, when you're going to do any type of an overlay or in that case, a fabric situation. And then for me personally, the best thing for fabric, this is in Tempe, Arizona here. I got the fabric down. Carlos just got done putting it down, and this guy's got white tires on his scooter. He didn't want to get any tire on his scooter. So he took it upon himself to drive across the fabric in the middle of our job. So it does have one good purpose. It keeps your tires clean, I guess. So I just, like I said, I'm not a big fan, not my thing. And then here's some areas where it failed, some different spots. The top picture there, that's in Denver, Colorado. That's, hand going right underneath it. The yield you get on that, I talked about the yield with rubberized asphalt. Everyone knows seal coating. If you have like a 3/4 inch stone, a 1 inch stone, an old binder, oh my God, that lot's never been sealed before. You use a ton of sealer on that first coat, second coat, and then like anything else, you use less and less. You put fabric on a rough surface. It's like any of these walls here or windows, it gets basically that smooth. Where I'm talking with rubber, you can be 10 to 15% under on your yield. With fabric, you could be as much as 20% under. The material goes and goes and goes. And, depending on what you're using, a lot of people would use like a 3/8 Super Pave, which would oxidize real quick at the top, turn gray real fast, bust apart on you. It tends to crack and break a little bit quicker. But with the Super Pave, it's an interlocking stone. And let's see, I'll go back here. It's on a slide down farther, but it'll tend to break apart a little bit quicker on you but you already get a better yield with Super Pave, and then you put the fabric down, you get even more. So the customer isn't really getting what they're paying for. The strength thing is a misnomer. On the other end, if you're the owner of the company, you're getting great yield, great profit. God bless you. We all do what we do. We have a different approach. Personally, I'd rather put 2 inches down, tack and put 2 inches down and do it like that if you really think that there's that half-inch benefit to the fabric. So basically it comes down to 3 different types of ways that you're doing work. I have a pulverized job here I did down in downtown Phoenix. Roadway, we did a demo, and then you got your mill pave. Typically, these are the 3 things that come into play. So obviously with this one, your mobilization, we're pulverizing. If you're not familiar with it, it's like a big rototiller. All right, it's taking a big rototiller and you're going down. Great thing is if you have base failure, base problems, big alligatoring, you can go down as deep as you want for the most part. Negative part of it, you got to recompact all that. You just don't run that pulverizer 8 inches down, 6 inches down, make it level, roll it and pave it. No, you got to rebuild everything. You got to reconstruct everything in lifts. So a little bit more work with that. Arizona, Southwest companies, Southern California, Nevada, Utah, New Mexico, a lot of dust issues. You got to have a lot of water in this, a lot of moisture to get this to compact. The mobilization's huge. But there's situations, if I'm on the outskirts of town, this is a wide open area, it might be a better application, depending on where the dumps are and stuff is compared to doing the full demo in that. Where I always work the demo, everyone should do their own math, get your own thing. My break point was 18,000 square feet. Whether it was a shopping center, a strip mall, a school, I'd look at my guy's schedule. I always included my schedule as part of my, the way we were selling and the way we were doing the work, because if I can do 20,000 square feet a day, demo that out, and then pave it back the next day, it doesn't matter. If you had let's say 750,000 square foot shopping center, they're not going to give you the whole thing at one shot where you could go in there and mill every night and shut down every storefront or whatever. They're only going to give you so many square feet. So in those type of situations, if they're making us do 7 mobs or 7 trips out there or whatever, we're only doing 20,000 square feet of mob, I'm not going to tie up my milling machine. I'm not going to tie up my pulverizer. We'll just go out there with the loaders, beat the hell out of it, load it, get it out of there, grade it, maybe add some more base to it or whatever and go from there. So I'd always base this, I have 3 different ways of going about it. What part of town I am in, where the trucking is, where the plan is, how to get in and out of there. And obviously you got to accommodate storefronts and stuff. So back to this too, with as far as the application with the tax. So this is a lumber yard over on the west side of Phoenix there. And we didn't do fabric or anything like that. We got to drive tow motors that size. It's not a little, chicken shit forklift for the most part. That's a beast of a tow motor there, and you got all this cracking there. So there's going to be some cracking coming through for the most part. We had to put 2.5 inches down there. You see the little concrete lip on the side over there where the lumber gets cut and everything like that. But, little thing here, this is one of my old employees actually doing this, First Choice, Luis's guys, but you still want to see where it's all light in these areas here. You want to see them whack it. A lot of guys, they just miss that tack down. Hey, let's make it black so we can pave it. You really got to put the material down. Almost not quite to the point of a seal coat where you're doing 65, 75 square feet per gallon, but you can't just walk and miss the stuff over. Why do it at all for the most part? And then you got a tow motor like that that's just going to blow it all apart the first time it turns. And then, like I say, with pulverizing, great for these situations. You see my level there? I'm at 0.00, okay? I want to create grades. This is the best way to do it. A lot harder to do it with a milling machine. If you're doing mill in place, that's one thing, leaving it there. If you're milling it, hauling it away, you're at the mercy of what's left there. Sometimes that creates a lot of work. Pulverizing, best way to go when we're in this type of situation. Make our own grades, shoot our elevations, go from there. And then here's a demo load and pave. So anytime you demo, as you see here, you have stone sticking to the bottom. Some of the specs change from time to time. In the Southwest, we had a large period where they probably still spec it, but everybody gets it written out. But they put a prime coat down. They put the ABC layer down, the base layer down, and they wanted this prime coat to spray down to be like a moisture barrier between the basin and new asphalt. So sometimes you'll see a lot of that ABC sticking to these when you're doing the demo work, and then there's other times where we get it, signed off or whatever, and they didn't do it. But either way, you got to bring material in. Anytime you demo, unless you have the best skid steer driver and loader driver in the world, or in this case, Gannon tractor, like what you see there, you're going to have some material on site. I always plug in, for 20,000 square feet on the larger side or the 10,000 square foot job, I'd always put a load of stone in my bed, just to have it there. So at the end of the day, if that's a 20 ton of stone right there, all right, at $25 a ton, that'll also cover me if I'm 5 ton over on asphalt, if I didn't need it. So I got that little bit of a buffer. I'm over on asphalt, my ass is covered, I need a little bit more stone, boom, I got it there in my budget. So that helps out a lot. And there's Patria there shooting some grades. And then here we go here with the milling. So milling, like here's one of our jobs here that we did at a Walmart. You gotta pick up your grades and stuff like that. A lot of people get on the paver guy, the paver operator, the guys running the screws. You're really on top of them, making sure you don't have your bird bass, making sure stuff's flowing. You're in some tight margin areas as far as drainage and stuff like that. For some reason, milling guys are immune to it. The guy running the miller, the guys checking the grades and stuff on that are immune to it. They can just go in, blow in. If your salesman, your estimator's not there watching them or anything, it's your responsibility. Paint the grades down, know where everything is before your milling guy gets there. Just don't count on him. Just don't subcontract it and close your eyes and think it's going to be perfect. I always do that. You get your own elevations painted down. He goes down. He's checking them. He might have to mill that same pass again, or he has to make adjustments on the next pass or whatever. But a lot of the stuff where we're subcontracting the pulverizing or the milling and that, just don't say, hey, I subcontracted it, I'll be there Friday. You really got to be hands-on. And it's your salesman, your estimator's job as a project manager to really be on top of this. And then obviously mill pave, always checking. Here's me on one, not just checking the vertical way, the horizontal way as well. Just being on top of it. I had a flow line there. You can see the cracks and stuff on the bottom. Keep checking it. Worst thing any of us ever wants to do is go back to a job. Again, us here, milling out the front, brand new truck. And then, you love the internet with stuff. We all see LinkedIn. We see different stuff on Facebook, this, that, or whatever. And you never know what you're going to see. So I can't say the name of the company or anything like that. But my guys, First Choice Asphalt, went up to Arizona. And this job was sub by a national company. And, they're exhibiting here. We won't let the color give it away or anything like that. And the founder of the company, Alan, I actually rode around Arizona. He was looking at buying Ace Asphalt at one time. And I rode around with him, got to know him really well. But anyways, that company ended up going up. They did a soil stabilization project in Show Low. Fantastic. If you're on the outskirts of Phoenix, Queen Creek, Coolidge, Southern Gilbert, you're in these areas with expansive soil in that, man, lime treatment, great product to go with. The guys that are good at it are really good at it. You keep testing it, check your pH balance in the clay and the soil and everything like that. Great product, wide open area and space. You're in the desert. 7 days of rain a year at the most. Not a bad issue. Where it does hold water, it's going to hold water, but that's going to help correct it. You don't go up to Show Low, Arizona in monsoon season, open up all these roads. They got homeowners, you have seasonal people coming in and out. It's more of a vacation type town or whatever. You got, like I said, a recycle truck, the garbage truck and everything. You don't go up there and open up all these roads and try to get your lime down. And the guys that do the lime, there's only like 3 of them in Arizona, and they got to mobilize all their equipment up there. And you got storm after storm coming every day at 3 o'clock. You know it's going to rain. But if you're one of these national companies from out of state, you don't know that. You're looking at an overhead map. You're going to the satellite, going on your mapping thing, pricing out your square foot. You're not looking at the whole picture. Oh, it's Arizona. Yeah, it's Arizona, and it can be a mess in a hurry. So naturally, this project took way longer than it was supposed to. Multiple change orders, multiple moving in things. So First off, Luis, he wanted to double check the measurements. Never trust a computer for the most part, especially if you're the subcontractor getting the work. So I got to go over and measure the thing. I work for these guys, all out parking lots. Great guys, Marco and Kevin. Cody works with us there too. He's up in the front row here, but yeah, no problem, Luis. Anything, whatever you need. He helps me out a lot, helps my ex-wife out a lot, helps my son out a lot. So I go measure the thing for him. So then it rains, this and that. People drive through the barricades. I got to go back there again. All right. So now Asphalt Busters gets up there. They put down some lime. Rain comes in. They got to pull out. Steve, you got to get over. Yeah, I've got 5 trips to this job for my old employee, who's basically his own contractor for this national guy that's never even basically seen the site, and I work for somebody else. So we end up having the last day of the job over there. He gets it all paved in and everything, and he had to go down to the valley, down from Shola down to Phoenix, and he goes, Steve, can you go get them barricades one last time? So I do this, and I go move the barricades off to the side from him, right? And a guy in a little red truck pulls up, rolls his window down, and asks me when I was going to sweep the road for him. So I was just laughing. It's like, I should have been on the clock for this job. I got more trips out here than your whole company has, and you're asking me to sweep the road. I don't even work for you. So a little bit of sick humor, I guess, on my part. Big thing that I'm a fan of with the new salesmen and stuff like this is training guys on small jobs. All right, on the production end of it, if you're learning how to loot, not everybody in this room can just grab a loot and grade asphalt. It takes a while. It's an acquired skill, a learned skill. Arizona is tremendous. Arizona is tremendous for trench work. It's just everywhere. There's trench work. We get trench call after trench call after trench call. If you have new guys, and this is what I did with that kid Dan, is I had Dan on trenches. All the plumbing companies, all the utility companies, the directional boring companies, they'd have blowout holes in the road and that. So on the sales guy end, he's learning how to mill. He's learning what milling is. He's learning what traffic control is. He's learning what base is, because base has to go in there. We have a one sack slurry that we'll put in sometime, like a hardened concrete type mix, and some people use, I think it's called even flow out east or whatever, but this is training your sales guy. He's on these smaller jobs, smaller dollar jobs. He's learning all the logistics, okay? He's kind of, he's being guided. You're watching him, but he's not learning on a big scale. On the production side, your seal coating guys that don't have a full week's work, your other guys that you're trying to cross-train a little bit, this is great work for that. You can put a loop right across most 2-foot trenches and stuff like that. A guy's learning how to rake. He's going to put in the first lift, have a little bit of an inch or two in between and that, and then he's going to finish rake it, leave a little high, and you're rolling it in. But it's a great way for training your crew without being on this high-dollar job that you got to get in and out with on a tight budget. You should be charging top dollar anytime you're doing trench work. Your tonnage per hour is going to be smaller. Sometimes you might only be putting down 9 ton an hour, sometimes 12 or 15. It all depends on the situation you're in. But this is a City of Phoenix spec right here, so I'm going to show you. This will tie into the crack filling thing that I'm going to get to. But they require you to T-top the trenches in Phoenix. Okay, so T-topping, you got to run a miller on each side of the trench right here. Okay, and then you're going to go through. You're going to pave it from the milled edge to the milled edge. Okay, they don't want a saw cut edge anymore. They like that milled edge because it grabs better. You have a rough edge going into a rough edge and it interlocks. Is it as pretty? No. Saw cut's going to look prettier initially, but eventually it will separate down in the desert because of the way things shrink and expand there. So they do that. Now with the City of Phoenix, what they require on top of this is they want a micro seal on top of it. So if you go vertically down a road lane or whatever, and it doesn't match up properly, you're not going to see that jagged edge. They want you to come in and micro seal over the top of it so everything blends together. So it's a full package, but it's the micro seal company is going to do that. Whether it's via some Southwest Slurry, whoever, okay, they're going to take care of that. But on your end, you're training your guys, you're training your sales guy, your sales guy's learning project management. It's really a great fit like that. The same thing with speed bumps. You don't want your top sales guy, your main guy that's going to the HOA meetings, the guy that's meeting with the cities, doing inspections, large jobs, project jobs, national jobs. You don't want him tying up 6 hours of his day on a trench. You have the new guy do it. You're training him. Your seal coat guys are slower, whatever. You got them there. They're learning a new trade, a new skill as well. So that was always my attitude on it. It worked really well, and it's just like I said, I'm here speaking. I'm just telling you stuff that I've done that works and helps out. And then here with the City of Phoenix, okay, what they want here, you can see this is the typical spec compaction requirements and stuff here. So they want 95% compaction, based on all the areas there, and even the final asphalt, 95% compaction, they're checking it, they're testing it. If you're out in them roads, chances are it might be Integer, it might be Speedy, you know, one of these QC companies or that, they're checking it for you. But again, this is teaching your new guy, your new sales guy, your project manager, project estimator. He's learning this stuff on a small scale. This isn't some 100-foot or 100,000 square foot parking lot that he's learning on. And that's soft, but that's good. And this is good, but that's bad. No, he's learning in a small condensed area. Your crew's learning a new trade. And it really works out well. Like I say, everybody's got their own way of training people. For me, I like them to have as much production knowledge as possible. And then here's situation here. So this is up, it's a DC Ranch area up in North Scottsdale. Okay, this is a Safeway store, and we had seal coated this years ago, and it hasn't been seal coated since, it looks like. But you see what happens when you don't T-top these things if you just go in and saw cut them. So you had a smooth saw cut edge going against a smooth saw cut edge. All right, this asphalt was put in a different time than this asphalt. It was probably a different mix because our guys go to the plant and they need 12, 15 ton of whatever you're making right now. Get it to me. I got a trench and we're going to seal over the top of it. Don't worry about it. But in the course of time, as the sealer wears off, the different mixes are going to shrink, expand, contract together at different times. So you end up with these situations. So these cracks are about 1.5 inches to 2 inches wide in some areas there. It's just because it's saw cut to saw cut. Tack's not super glue. It's not Flex Seal or, you know, any crap you see on TV. It's tack. You know, so when you have these different temperature changes, those things are going to open up. So imagine going through and trying to overlay this right now. You overlay this, these cracks will probably come through while you're rolling. Your roller guy's going to be in hell trying to do that. So we always recommend, even with these, a little more cost. It's a high dollar thing. It's not really an upsell. It's the right sell is to mill each side of these, you know, as you're going, so that T-top bridges that over a little bit. So a thing that I got here, and we'll get to this slide here, probably show you better. Here's another one. So here's some other trench type situations with the crack. And most of this, you know, people say, oh, seal coating, extend the life of your pavement. I'm going to double the life of your pavement with seal coating and that. Yeah, you're going to prolong the surface, the curb appeal, the look in that. But, you know, if you're really not sealing within the first 2 years of the asphalt being installed, it's basically, especially Arizona, #1 market in the world, it's just a one-coat aesthetic process, okay? You want that longevity and stuff, you got to do it right from day one. You can't come into a parking lot after the fact 7, 8, 9 years later and think that 2 coats of sealer for the rest of your life is, no, it's not going to happen, okay? That's got to be done immediately. So great example here. This is an initial construction. There's a trench going right to the light pole, even the crack. Look at the crack in the curb there. The trench wasn't for the light pole to run the utility underneath, to run the wire and the conduit, wasn't compacted properly. This has nothing to do with whether it was seal coated or not. That thing was going to crack anyways. The trench failed, the compaction failed, and you end up with a crack there. These over here, one's a fresh trench, one's another trench, same thing. It was saw cut, it wasn't T-top. Going into the light poles and that's typically, you could look at an overhead a lot of times, just look at where all the sprinklers are and the light poles, and you can tell where all the cracking and stuff is going to be. Let's see, I lost that page, 1 second. The T-top, man, I got a slide I got to find. Okay, so then staying on topic with the smaller job thing, oil spots. Same thing with your newer crew, your other guy. You get calls, a lot of national companies, if they're working with Arby's or Burger King or different stuff like that, everyone's calling to get their oil spots fixed. So you got a row of parking stalls that's 10 stalls long, okay? 7 of them have bad oil spots that got to be cut out. You don't cut the oil spots 4 by 4, one at a time, and make a bunch of patches like that. What we do is we mill all the way down. You can see like this, much cleaner look, even the stalls that didn't need it. The oil spots were fine. Just production-wise, aesthetics-wise, do the whole area. Go right up to the curb, or you might be in the center aisles or whatever, but mill, T-top each side like that, pave into the mill and make one fluid thing. Don't have 10 little 4x4 squares with saw cuts that are just going to blow apart again. You're going to fix again and again, and you're weakening the whole structure of the parking lot when you do that. Just like when you're building a house. Everyone knows what the header on a door is, the header on a window frame is. Same thing with here. You're weakening everything by putting a bunch of 4x4 holes in every single parking stall. Do one straight mill, even if a couple don't need it. How much extra asphalt you're going to use? 2 wheelbarrows. You know, you're putting down maybe 1.5 inches to 2 inches at the most, cleaning the area up, but you're milling all the crap out of there. That's the main thing. That's what they're paying you to do. And then out here, you know, like I said, with the trench work, that type of work, it's a premium. Don't give it away. You see the number of guys, you got trucks parked, you're rerouting traffic from this was a 2-lane over to that 2-lane over there. You know, you're shutting down you may have a police officer on each side of the road and stuff down there. Make sure you're charging accordingly. Make sure you're charging enough. And then people do that. It's a primary thing for a lot of people. A lot of utility companies get into it. These are like 3 different companies here. That's what they do. They don't own the Lee Boy. They don't have the Aztec. They don't have a Bomag or anything like that. They just want to do little patching. You know, like the little unit that Falcon has over here, the little dump one that Rick Simon's over there selling. There's people that just do that. They're making anywhere from 38 to 58% margins. They're not training guys. That's what they're in business to do. But there's a whole market for that, depending on where you are. Older cities, there's a lot of trench work. Newer cities, a lot of people are taking their infrastructure underground and stuff. But like I said, great training tool, great sales tool, great way to learn the business. And going back into here with the crack filling as well. So T-top, the mastic products are fantastic. It's probably the greatest thing to come out. I'm a big fan of that. A little tougher in Arizona with the mastic if you're overlaying on these type of things, because in the summer it gets hot, and you know we're 120 degrees air temperature down in Scottsdale, Phoenix, Gilbert, and as that asphalt's expanding, it's pushing that crack filler up a lot of times. So if you've ever been there, you're driving down the 101 or the 202 and you're hearing ba-boom, ba-boom, ba-boom. Even the concrete slabs are expanding a little bit. And what they did is they put all that concrete and they grooved it so the asphalt would bond better. And then they went through and they routed and they put all the crack filler in between each slab of concrete. And then it gets hot and all that crack filler pushed up, and you got all this, every single place. It looks like a big checkerboard when you're driving down them highways, because the heat expanded the pavement, pushed the crack filler up, blows it apart. So a way around that is you can do the T-top. So here's one here. I had a City of Scottsdale contract for 7 years. I did all their crack filling, put down probably just shy of 5 million pounds, okay, with that contract. And you get to get a good relationship with your inspectors, your city, and stuff like that. So there's always different funds. I'm big on the public work. We all hate politics. You want to grow your business, get involved in politics. Show up at the board meetings. See where the bonds are. I think Kendall had John McCormick employed for a while there. John was at every school meeting, every board meeting. He knew every bond going out in the city, who had money for asphalt or whatever. And same thing with Scottsdale. We were real close with them. So they had this little R&D fund. Okay, nobody knew about it or anything, and they had to do this. So there's somebody on the town council for the city of Scottsdale, and their house is on Frank Lloyd Wright. And they hear ba-boom, ba-boom, and it was the cracks. The cracks weren't filled or anything, and they didn't have any money. Everything was expended. We took all their crack filler money. I forget who it was that was doing all the paving at the time, but between the two of us, and then my buddy Hadar was doing all the textured asphalt and coating and stuff, they were wiped out. They're at the end of the year budget. It's approaching June 30th, but they had a little R&D fund. They call Research and Development Fund for trying new products and stuff like that. So John Allen calls me, goes, Steve, I got $25,000. You can't go $1 over. What can we do? This councilman is driving me out of my mind. We got to fill those cracks. If you want to take a picture of this, or I'll email this to you. I'm not tooting my own horn or something. This is a hell of a spec. It worked out really good. I used it quite a bit. I did all the National Guard bases in Arizona. Used it where the Apache helicopters are. The fighter jets are and everything. Just fantastic. The spec here on doing the wider cracks and stuff. So we basically T-top them, and you'll see the PM10 compliant thing. A lot of people don't know what that is. That's the Craftco unit that it simultaneously blows out the crack and sucks up the dust, so it's dust compliant. And we had to do that. We put a little heavier duty crack sealant in there. And then basically what we did, and there's a guy out there selling, I'm not allowed to promote anyone's products or that, but the Craftco product that's not here is called Pave Prep, okay? So after I T-topped it, okay, we sucked the cracks out, we put the material in that, and then we put this down here, right on top of the crack filler, okay? And like I said, Craftco calls it Pave Prep. It's the same exact thing as this roofing shingle that the guy over here has, okay? So we put that down, you put a little tack down first. Obviously, you gotta tack the grooves in your T-top from your miller. And then this goes down on top of it, and then we pave it, okay? You pave on top of it right across there, mill to mill. Quiet, perfect, left alone. The following year, it may have been Intermountain, but Frank Lloyd Wright got a microseal the following year, and they were concerned about it, what was going to be, if there was going to be more noise or if it was going to reflect through the slurry seal. with slurry seal, there's a lot of issues where if you have independent trucks, you start and stop, it makes a chatter. Start and stop, it makes a chatter. Start and stop, it makes a chatter. So you have continuous lay machines that can go as far as they can where you don't have all these ba-boom, ba-boom, these little bumps. So they were concerned about this doing the same thing. It wasn't. Smooth as silk, and from Shea Boulevard heading north up to Thompson Peak Parkway. We did a bunch of these, but the first one, it was $25,000 job. You see my thing? What were we, $7.11 a square foot? I think we all like getting that kind of money to do a patch. There's nothing wrong with that. So, and the nice thing was we didn't have to rent any equipment or nothing. I just had to buy some of this stuff from Craftco. We rolled it down, heated it, and it worked out great. And then again, the mastic, I'm a big fan of it. Using it a long time. We were one of the first people on board with it just because we did so much volume with them that we were able to get it at a real good price. And there's cooperative purchasing contracts in Arizona where if you have one city, then there's like 6 or 7 others that'll buy off it. So we were able to get a lot of work that way. And if you don't have a mastic machine, really do the ROI on it. It's great. You're working all winter. There's where people think it snows every day of the winter. No, it doesn't snow every day. There's a lot of dry days. There's a lot of cracks that are dry and wide. So do this stuff in the winter, not in the summer, and the cracks are the widest. It's the best time to do it, but just ways to keep your crews working, keep the dollars turning. And, at the end of the day, it's all about retaining our employees. So, like I say, different alternative ways of doing it. So here, a way of doing it, you put cold patch in. We've done that too. Use the QPR 2000 or UPM. This is the Aquafalt product that was over there. I just grabbed their sample, but you can put that in. Basically, do the same thing. It has more elasticity. You tend not to get 2 cracks instead of 1 if you pave over the top or put a slurry over the top of it. It tends to bridge itself a little better. People still do it the old way. They try to put in 3/8 and go wider. I'm not a big fan of it. You can see the bump right there in that picture to the right. The guy's plate tamping it, they're torching it. But banding hot mix isn't the best way to do the cracks. But like I say, this very successful and great way to keep your guys moving through the winter. And for what we've done total back in the day with that, this is our my formulas that I got. So I took the Craftco formulas and I tweaked them a little bit, and like I can send you this as well. So the big thing I did with it is tweaking my gallons, knowing how many pallets I can put down. Typically there's 225 gallons in a pallet. Convert that to pounds, call it 2250. But I put the production rate for each one, okay, knowing how many guys on the crew, how many hours we were going to be. Typically one machine, like when we were out there watching the demos the other day, one machine in an 8-hour day should put down a full skid, okay, on a regular crack. You get wider cracks, you might get 2.5 skids down per day, okay. All great production, great winter work, great municipal contracts and stuff like that, but these are all fairly accurate. And like I say, the production hours in that, we did a lot of it. And there's people that do it and say there's no money in crack filling, no money in crack filling. We made money in crack filling. So I have no problem sharing this with anybody. I hope everybody makes money. And then out at airports, little different deal. So we were an ADOT approved contractor. If you're not ADOT approved, they don't want you filling cracks on runways and stuff. So here I'm out at the Buckeye Airport here. And what you have to do, if you look at that spec to the right, you got to go through with a router. Routing no different than saw cutting. It's making a smooth edge. I'm not a big fan of it. I always like jagged edges. You get a little bit more strength and stuff like that. But you see in the top there, that's a smooth edge with a little channel in it, okay? Now from there, you got to put a pencil tip. You got to put a pencil tip basically on your wand, on your crack filling wand, and you can't fill it to the top. They don't want any chatter with the smaller planes and stuff like that. They don't want them bumping or getting like that. A lot of the Cub type planes, Bear type planes, they have a lot of air in their tires and that. So they want everything to be as smooth as possible. So yeah, they want the cracks filled for moisture protection, but you're not banding them. We're not going over it on each side. They want it recessed. So here we are. Here's Carlos and Jose. They're just filling it up. So first you see the green here. They had to do an emergent. Part of the spec was we had to spray an emergent in the crack, route them out, and then he goes with the pencil tip and can't fill it to the top. So that's tedious, that's high dollar work. You're charging almost quadruple of what you'd normally do. Back in the day, crack filling was like 38 cents a lineal foot. We were well over $1, and this is, going back 15 or so years ago. But great work in it, and you get larger general contractors. You got guys back home just throwing out names like Rummel and my mind's going blank right now on who else, but Rummel's a big one that would hire us to do this, and they need someone that's got the equipment and they're able to pull it off. So always work great for us. Another avenue, and there's Jose with the milling machine, or the the routing machine there to the right. So a little funny story with the routing machines right there. I had 3 of them. I sold my company as a kind of little rich privileged kid that had no clue what he was doing, and he takes my routers out the first time. These things were pristine. We used them and used them for years and years and years. They were taken care of. We'd keep them in a Connex box, cover them, shade. Those things were money makers. We want to take care of them. Kid buys my company. He's a little smarter than the average bear, so he thinks, and that he goes and puts gasoline in them. This blows the motors on all 3 of them. So it kind of a sad story on my part, but I'll deal with it. But again, just different things you can do with training with the trenching. So one of my best friends, a guy named Hadar Rahav, he owns Creative Paving Solutions in Scottsdale. He's one of my longest and oldest friends, and my father initially put in all his yard. He has a little yard over in Tempe over there off of Curry, and we would always do patching. He sets up demonstrations. He'll have like all public works people or HOA people. His whole yard is a decorative paving showcase for the most part. So he does all the infrared work. He does all the different coatings. There's a wall on his garage over there. He puts all the different color coatings and stuff on his thing. But we're always trenching that and working with that. So he liked us because we could go out. I had a history with, I was doing street print back in the early 80s back in New York, so I know how to lay everything out. He makes his own stencils and that, but the nice thing with the printing products and that, and I think this was actually an epoxy right there, but you can go back and put the templates down on any trenching you do. So the city of Scottsdale likes that. Most of the crosswalks are done that way. A lot of the medians are done that way. So you do a repair, and then you can go in and they can microwave your trench work that you're doing, and make a little bit of money that way. And then obviously the recoating is a great business. That's something. I was in a class yesterday, the RAE guy, and there's a lot of money in that. That's something really everybody should look into for a little side thing if you have 3-4 employees you want to keep on all the time. But again, looking at the size of the loot there, it's not always about the sales and that. We're training employees, we're keeping guys working, not everybody can rake, and there's guys that think they can rake and can't rake. But if you're going to learn, great example right there, learn on trench work, go after these plumbing contractors, electric contractors, utility contractors, directional boring contractors, and you're just going to make your whole company stronger and better that way. There's me and Hadar right there. So another thing he got into is the Cool Pave. You'll see that on Phoenix, real big nationwide, a lot of YouTube stuff and on that. It cools the temperatures of the streets and stuff down. Ugliest effing product I've ever seen. You drive on, you come off the road, you got crack filler, tar, rubberized asphalt, everything off the roads. You got beautiful subdivisions. The Arcadia subdivision, a real pretty area, North Phoenix, South Paradise Valley area. They did all this. The roads look absolutely horrendous. But now what do you do at this point? They just put it down. You go put black stuff on top of it? Is it going to be like when somebody had the pink house in the neighborhood and they put blue on top of it and the blue peels off and we're looking at the pink? No, they're going to have to put more down. Once they set that precedence and they're doing that much, point being, same equipment we all use, same spray bars, same spray and everything. Definitely worth looking into. I think it's more of a Southwest product, more of a South product. People, the lead stuff, a lot of your property management companies that are national, they have a lead objective that they have to meet. They got to do so much lead work with their dollars and stuff like that. So yeah, little courtyards and stuff, foot thing. It's basically going to turn into a sport court product by the end of the day. But these cities and stuff that are putting this down, they're going to have to do it again. So it just makes sense. Hey, don't, learn as much as you can about it, jump on the bandwagon, try and get some work. And every HOA meeting, somebody asks about it. Whether it's Patria, Jamie, Jacob, my kids, anytime they're going to these HOA meetings, somebody's asking about it. It's like a hot topic, especially in Arizona. Are you going to do it? Probably not, but it's good to be educated on it. Guys that are doing it are making money. They're charging a hell of a buck, and normal seal coat margins are typically 28, maybe 38% for the most part when you're bidding work. These jobs are coming out 70, 80% because no one else is doing it. You got to have the right insurance. A lot of it's bonded work, or you have to already be under contract. But like I said, get involved in politics. Know where this bond money's going. Know what they're spending on roads. Know what they're doing, and it's easy work. We all own the equipment. Same thing, you're just watching people squeegee it down. Okay, this is the Cool Seal product by Guard Top. Same thing, it's got a little more titanium and stuff in it. Looks beautiful when it's down, but now you're going to throw stripes down, driving it off the main road, and it's going to pretty much look like anything else. And just going that versus the other thing. So there's his regular sealer versus putting his Cool Temp product on. This is Jeff Nelson at Gold Star out there in Paris, California, another good friend of mine. And if you've ever seen Jeff, he's just worth following on the internet. The guy's personality is all over the map, and he's just a super guy. But he'll go to his grave saying he has the best product possible, and it might be. I haven't tried it. And then another thing, you come into, warranty type stuff, all right? So Arizona, #1 market in the country. You had Sunland Asphalt, you had Ace Asphalt, you had Cactus, you had, my company was up and coming for the most part. A lot of sealer going down. Number one seal master in the country, okay, as far as gallons being put down, based out of Phoenix, Arizona and that. Holbrook comes down, they got this HA5 high density mineral bond product, okay? They're marketing it. Anyone in here has never heard of them. Just pretend you never put down asphalt, sealed, stripe. You know nothing about it. You read their information or you watch their stuff. Even myself, I was afraid to put my own product down. These guys, their marketing is absolutely outstanding. The product, really no different than anything else we do. Google silica sand right now. It's going to say it's a mineral bond. They're pushing this mineral bond. Silica sand's a mineral. We've all been putting it in coal tar and asphalt emulsion for years. Really no different. Good side, but the marketing they do and the warranty program, the people buy into the warranty program over 2, 3, 5 years. Every time you go back, you're making more money and more money. It's best marketing thing I've ever seen in this business out of everybody. You saw my old company colors and stuff like that, we always based everything off Caterpillar. Caterpillar was the only one spending money on advertising and marketing. Their stuff always looked great going back to the 70s. Cat, and then John Deere, everybody else caught up, but we always modeled all our stuff. Even my company colors were Cat colors. These guys are somebody to model your warranty type stuff off if you want to make money, because they get top dollar. They scare the living hell out of you with their information. It's absolutely fantastic, and they probably the best thing they do, and I don't know how they do it because we've all tried it for years. They're able to have you go through a subdivision. You might have 350 homes, and when they're doing your road, they're going from curb to curb. There is nothing worse in the seal coat business than splitting roads in half, splitting intersections in half, making windows, going back, touching them up, dealing with weather and stuff, but they do an absolutely outstanding job. It's really worth looking into. And then Jeff, like I say, Jeff with Gold Star, he's come out with a similar product. Both these companies buy their oil from a place up in Bullhead City, Arizona. Okay, so they're both basically making the same thing, different marketing programs. Jeff's doing a little bit more hardcore like we do, a little more social media and stuff like that. But Holbrook, they get right in there, man. They do a great job with the municipalities and stuff. I'm not a big fan of the product, but I tip my hat to people that do stuff and do well. And big thing that's happening with Arizona, a little bit of an extreme example there on the right. All these RTU products, no one's mixing their own sealer anymore. You're putting down the wrong product on the wrong pavement. It's building up. The Holbrook product, the Sealmaster PMM, RTU, all this stuff's building up, and it's not just here. It's all across the country. Parking stalls are getting 3, 4, 5 coats of sealer, and they park cars and leave it. No one drives on the stalls. It's the roads that wear out. Take care of the roads, spray the roads, do 2 coats on the roads. Everything's piling up, so it gets to this point where the sealer's all peeling. It's checking, it's peeling up, it's curving. Just little stuff I see. So then, big thing I'm on is the supplier relationships. Climbing the Grand Canyon with the CMEX crew. When Dominic was at Vulcan, doing mud runs with them. Know your suppliers. Garish, I'm not where I am without Garish. There's Dave from Sealmaster. There's Patria with Dave again in that picture. But knowing what's out, who's doing rubber, who's putting it down, when's the best time to buy it. Hey, they're going to be putting rubber down for a week. Can I get a little bit of a break on the price? Yeah, pull from the same plant as this if you're working in that part of town. Have those relationships. Get to know your suppliers as good as possible. Do the charity stuff. Do as much as you can. It's winter time. Everybody should be having each one of their asphalt suppliers. Somebody should be coming by your office and talking to your guys and asking questions. And even through the season, know the schedule. Know what's being delivered where. And then here's my kid and Jacob right now. So my son just won this Pacer Award thing, this Job Site Excellent Award. I don't know much about it, but I had to promote that a little bit. It's my kid on the right there, and that's them as little kids there hopping on Dad's loader, and in high school a little bit of a hangover, flipping us off because we made them work. Just kids growing up the business like I grew up in the business, and I hope everybody did in that. And thanking you for attending Pavex. It's a great thing, honor for them to ask me to do. I've been doing these things for 20, 25 years, all different topics. I wish I had the same topic twice in a row. It would make my life a lot easier, but they asked me to talk about something, and I go for it. There's my brother and myself way back in the 80s, and that's us last summer working for my dad, and Patria and Jacob, they're all grown up. My son down to the right with my brother's kid. My dad's still going at it. He turned 75 yesterday. My father's still out there running a dozer and a blade, and my niece Bella, out there directing trucks to pull into the pavers. So family thing, we love it. We love the business, big fans of it. Hope you picked up 1 or 2 things out of this. I talk a little fast. I skip around. I had 2 slides. I just don't know where the hell they went, but that I guess that happens with it. But Any questions? I don't know how much we are on time. I went a little bit over here, but anything, just email me. I'll see if I can go back there. I have my email. Yeah, my email and phone number are right there. So anyone wants to contact me, don't be shy. It's, we fly all over. Jeff, the guy you saw in the beginning there, he and I go out there. I look at more of a production end for the training and stuff. Jeff looks at all the analytical stuff and the numbers and that. He's absolutely fantastic. He's the architect of Ace Asphalt that grew the sales team like he did. So you could have the two of us go out there or whatever. But whatever, we're always available to answer easy questions and stuff too. So the two kids that took advantage of me were right here. They call me constantly. And so I finished up some real estate projects. I was retired. And they got me to work for them. I'm having a blast. I'm working for two kids 20 years younger than me, and they're just kick-ass. They're fun. There's no bad day. We just go. The name of the company's all out, and that's what we do. So enjoying every minute of it, and I hope everybody got something out of this. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for preparing all
No,
this.
don't worry.
For us.
Good. Hope you learned something.
For sure. We wanna get
I only talk about what worked. I don't talk about the bad things. Okay.
thank you.
No worry.
All right.
Sounds good.
What's going on?
How you doing?
Steve Dyson
Nice to
from
meet
Procio.
you. How you doing?
Good,
What's
good.
going on?
Not much. I believe one of our guys, Dom, was talking to Marco before.
Oh, okay.
Are you guys only out, are you primarily out in Arizona?
No, I handle the whole country.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
'cause
no,
I
I'm
know
all
we
over.
were talking about partnering for some stuff up in PA.
Yeah, they handle. Cody's right here. Cody be more on that stuff over there on that part of town.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Oh, good. But yeah, no, we're in the East Coast.
Okay.
Well, I'm in the East Coast, he's in the West Coast.
Oh,
I've heard about you all over the place.
oh, no
I'm
worries.
Dixie.
Dixie from
I'm with
where?
Morgan Pavement. But
Oh,
I started
okay.
at Regional.
Yeah, you guys. Yeah. Oh, you did work at Regional after I left, probably.
Yep. I
Yep.
turned out the lights.